Good afternoon, members and friends of Calvary. Time once again for our video devotion of the week. Today it comes from Mark chapter 2, and in verse number 5, Jesus is talking to the man sick of the palsy that was brought to him, and he says, "Son, thy sins be forgiven thee." And this puts everyone in an uproar because that's not why they brought him to Jesus. They brought him to Jesus so that he could be healed. And then the Pharisees are upset because who can forgive sins but God only? And Jesus is trying to get them to see that he is God only. And thus, in verse number 10, after that discussion, he says, "But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins, he saith to the sick of the palsy, I say unto thee, arise, take up thy bed, and go thy way into thine house. And immediately he arose, took up his bed, and went forth before them all." So two things just wanted to highlight from this passage this afternoon. The first one is this: Jesus is always more concerned with the spiritual than he is with the physical. He had a man that had a very real physical need. He had friends who brought him to Jesus thinking he could heal his physical need, and ultimately Jesus did, but that wasn't his primary concern. And so our challenge again this afternoon is just to realize that Jesus is far more concerned with the spiritual than he is with the physical. It's not that he doesn't care about those things, he just has his priorities in order. The other thing I wanted to highlight and kind of focus on today, and that is this: Jesus went out of his way to make sure people knew he could forgive sins. In verse number 10, he says, "But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins." He said, I'm going to heal this man of the palsy, not because I want to heal him of the palsy, but because I want you to know that if I can do that, then I can also forgive your sins. Jesus can forgive sins, and he wants us to know he can forgive sins. And so this morning, no matter what your past holds, no matter what choices you've made, no matter what regrets you have, Jesus Christ wants you to know he can forgive your sin. And so he's done all kinds of things to prove it. He's done all kinds of things to prove his majesty, his deity, his divinity, his authority, etc., etc., and with the primary purpose so that you and I would know we could be forgiven. If you're not saved, you can get saved. And if you are saved, your sins are forgiven. They're gone. It's over. It's done. And Jesus goes out of his way to prove that time and time again.